And some of you have been following us already in our child rich journeys, and for others, you know, this will be a whole new kaupapa. But wherever you are in that whole continuum, welcome and thanks for joining us. So today we're going to be hearing from two of our learning cluster sites. For those of you who've been following our journey, you'll have seen that over this year we've been engaging with 4 sites around the motu, all different communities on the face of it, all with, you know, reasonably similar kaupapa, but different places, different communities. But what we've been finding is that there is more that we have in common that separates us. So really cool to hear the stories of Te Pae Urungi and Kotahitaka today. But before I do that, I'll just do a little bit of housekeeping. So if all of you could find this little emoji button at the bottom of your toolbar, and we're going to be having an interactive session today because it's really difficult to tell your story and be a speaker for those of you who've done this on this side of the camera before, when everybody looks like this. It's not easy. So this is an interactive session. This is not a usual webinar. So this little emoji button down here, what I'd like to see right now is for you to let us know how you're feeling right now. And then as we go through the session, please go back to this emoji button and keep on giving us this feedback and this reaction. It really helps our speakers to tell their stories, to know that there is life out there beyond the computer screen, and just also for us to just have this continual feedback and connection with you, because child-rich communities, as we know with community-led development, it's all about relationships. And although we're on this like visual connection right now, we are all connected. We're all related in this way. The other thing to keep an eye on is the chat. So please load in the chat any of your questions and comments as we go through, and both Natalie and myself will be checking the chat as we go, and we will get those questions back to our speakers. So emojis and chats, and then in about half an hour we'll all head into a breakout room, because this is not a webinar where we just listen and learn in that way. This is a way that we can co-learn together and share our experiences. So we'll be heading into a breakout room with some questions that will enable you to speak directly to some of the speakers, but also just to share your wisdom and your mātauranga from the work that you do. So our speakers will be part of those breakout rooms, and it's a really huge opportunity for us just to learn more about how do we use community-led development to support our mokopuna, to uplift their mana and Māori, and to connect the whole of the community in the whānau, community-led but whānau-led and tamariki-led and rangatahi-led. And so our speakers today, we'll just do a quick round so they can introduce themselves so you know who they are, and then we'll hear a little bit more about their story. So first of all, I'll pass over to Tina. She's here from Kotahitaka, Ōtepoti Dunedin Hub from Plunket. Tina, do you just want to introduce yourself briefly?
Kia ora. Yes, well, Louise has just mentioned where I'm from, Ōtepoti Dunedin whānau Plunket, and I am the Community Services Coordinator down here. And when I give my chat, you'll be learning a little bit more about what that means and the work that I do. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Dean, I'll pass on to you.
Morena everybody, my name's Dean Karu from Wesley Community Action, and yeah, look forward to talking about my mahi. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Te amo.
Tamari e koutou, te amo prata taku ingoa, kaimahi for Wesley Community Action Te Pae Urungi, and I look forward to sharing my mahi with you all. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Tuali.
Kia ora koutou. Tuali Toku Ingoa, aka Melissa Smith. I work in the Pae Urungi team for Wesley Community Action. Look forward to catching up, connecting, and sharing a little bit about our mahi. Kia ora.
Awesome. Ngā mihi. And Kina.
Oh, tamariki koutou, ko Kina Daignan tōku ingoa. I'm part of the team at Wesley Community Action as well. And we're excited to share some mahi with you today and then talk with you. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Yeah, so Te Pae Urungi and Kotahitaka, these are two of our learning cluster sites. And what we've been doing over these last 6 months is looking into child-rich community practices and principles, as well as learning together, basically, how do we be effective in how it is that we increase well-being within our tamariki and rangatahi and whānau through moving decision-making closer to them. So let's just have a look at some of the practices that we've been looking at. I'll just share my screen. Hopefully you can all see that. So a little bit of background about child-rich communities. Yes, hosted by Inspiring Communities, but you'll see at the bottom, funded by a number of other organisations, all who have an interest in community-led development. These are the practices that we have been looking into, as well as many more. You know, part of the learning cluster was to look into child-rich community core practices and to see, you know, are they still valid and what's everybody else doing? But this was the backbone of them, and you'll hear some of these aspects in the mahi that you hear from with the speakers today. So collaboration, relationship focused, responsive, think and work holistically. It all sounds pretty straightforward, and it's the how, isn't it? The how we do that is the big part. And my guess is a lot of you have hopped on today to hear about that. Okay, so let's not hear from me anymore. We'll move on to hear from our speakers. So Tina's going to talk to us first about the mahi that they have been doing down in Ōtepoti. And, you know, it's interesting having these two sites coming together because we have Plunket, a big kind of nationwide organisation. You know, how is it that they have been changing their steering to bring whānau at the centre of their community-led development? And Te Pae Urungi, also a really different community, but a smaller community, not nationwide. Same but different kinds of challenges and strengths within the community. So it's interesting to see what the stories will be. Tina, I'm going to pass over to you and just let me know when you need me to click through your slides.
Okay, lovely. Kia ora koutou. Yes, as Louise said at Whānau Whina Plunket, tamariki and whānau really are at the heart of everything we do. We've been around for a long time. We're dedicated to helping all children in Aotearoa, New Zealand, have the best possible start. And we have a vision that in the first 2,000 days, that is setting the path of wellness in our communities for generations to come. And lots of people know about Plunket nurses and health workers and what they do to achieve positive outcomes for Pepe and tamariki, preschool tamariki, but not many know about the community services work which we do. And my role as a community services coordinator involves working with whānau who have preschool age tamariki and who for whatever reason might be marginalised or isolated within our community. So that can range from assisting parents who are stuck at home with small children to get out of the house and have enriching experiences, valuable social contact with the children having valuable social contact with each other, but also the parents as well too. It's also about creating events and activities that are accessible for those families on low disposable incomes and helping them also to connect with other community organisations in our wonderful city. So in November 2024, Whānau Whina Plunket in Ōtepoti, Dunedin we're fortunate to move into a wonderful new building, which has been called Kotahitaka. This means togetherness. And at the hub, we have brought together all our local whānau whina staff under the one roof, so that we have our full range of activities and services, which is in a slide that Louise is popping on now, hopefully. That means that our clinical team, our nurses and health workers, our home help service, which involves volunteers going into whānau homes and supporting parents who might be a bit overwhelmed or struggling to cope with things like housework and everyday activities. Our injury prevention service, our administration staff, our parenting education programs, our parental wellbeing, which I accidentally missed off that slide, I'm afraid, a service that we are very fortunate to have locally, and of course community services. So with all of these teams being under the one roof, it means that we're no longer working in silos, and we can have much easier and greater communication between all arms of our work. And in this, we feel that we are creating more continuity of care and wraparound support for the whānau that we work with, helping them get better access to our services, and in my community service space, also helping them to connect with other whānau, other parents, and to other services in our community. So before we moved into the hub, it was refurbished to be a bright, modern, warm space with off-street parking, located on central bus routes in South Dunedin, which has a high population of people on lower incomes, people renting, sole parent families. And the community team saw this as an opportunity to make it a welcoming and safe gathering space for whānau in our community, and especially those marginalised whānau. So we have two large, wonderful community rooms, and one larger than the other. And I'll get you to click to the next slide, Louise. What we thought about, our aims in use of these community spaces, was making them a place of community connection, a place where whānau can connect with each other, build friendships and associations, hear about what else is going on in the community as well too. We wanted to attract local groups, so groups that might not have their own type of meeting space, and I will give some examples of that a little bit later on. We wanted to make sure that we were meeting the cultural needs of the groups that were using our community spaces, but that didn't mean presuming what they need in that space culturally. So it was also about asking the groups that came to us what they needed, what they liked, any improvements that we could make. We wanted to be inclusive, and I'm going to speak a little bit more on what I mean about that shortly. We also wanted a variety of uses for our space. We didn't want to duplicate the wonderful existing services and opportunities that there are already out there in our community. So we were looking for gaps, listening to the families that we work with, and seeing where there might be a need for whānau to have a new type of initiative. We also wanted to share some resources for our playgroups. Playgroups are a big part of what we do in this space, but our community spaces, but it's not the sole thing that we do. AV facilities that, because it's bright and new and modern, those sorts of things available to the groups that can use our spaces as well too. And we just wanted to make it a place for whānau to feel comfortable dropping in, coming along, using our space, for themselves and the children. Now, what I mentioned earlier about being inclusive, what we thought about in that is that we wanted to make the things that we were putting on, the play groups and events, accessible to everybody. So our play groups and some of our events, for example, might be a gold coin donation or a koha in the example of our play groups. The gold coin donation might go towards a kapa. Coming in for a kapa and a chat is something that is a big selling point of our play groups, the Plunket-led play groups that we offer at Kotahitaka. Koha might be more appropriate, but again, it's not compulsory. So we don't want to create any barriers to those families who might be a little bit isolated, more in need. It's all about bringing them along, making friendships, making connections, not just play activities for the children, but we do have free play spaces, an approach of that socialisation for the children through play, through craft activities and some themed activities in the play groups as well. But the main thing we're wanting to do is foster those social connections and help parents to feel a little bit more empowered and confident in their parenting by listening to their peers and hearing those stories, knowing that they're not alone, and hearing about all the sorts of support that there is available out there in our community. Inclusiveness in terms of culture, not just being in reference to ethnicity, although we do take into consideration the high number of refugees and immigrant population we have in Dunedin, and whānau from ethnic groups who feature heavily on the negative side of health and education statistics, such as Maori and Pacifica families, encouraging them to our space so that we can support them in that way. But also the Plunket-led groups that we run, definitely being tolerant and accepting in the environment that we create. So it can be tolerant of people of other cultures, learning about people of other cultures, empowering them in their parenting skills. And gender, we do have a lot of dads that come along to our play groups as well too. At-home dads is an area that is sometimes neglected. Also, in terms of welcoming gender diversity, families are made up of a variety of combinations these days. Also, in terms of ages, we welcome grandparents, aunts, uncles, caregivers. Our groups are open to all. So we put word out in the community and health organisations through our local tamariki ora well child network, through various community networks and groups, and just word of mouth, and letting people know that we had this wonderful space available to run play groups, hold whānau-centred activities, and more general workshops, seminars, training events, that sort of thing. Unfortunately, we didn't have to advertise that too much because we had lots of groups approach us. We were very lucky in that. When we had our open day and opened our building to the community, people came in, saw what we had on offer, and started approaching us. So I'll just wrap up with the sorts of things that we have got going on at Kotahitaka. We have our Plunket-led groups and supportive events, a Giggles play group, which is an open play group for 0 to 5-year-olds, mums, dads, grandparents, caregivers, in-home educators, as I said. We have a Rainbow whānau play group, a variety of parenting as well as antenatal classes and education programs, second-hand clothing sale like fill-a-bag sale, fill a bag for $2 or $5 of secondhand clothing. We hold volunteer appreciation events because a big part of what we do, and we are a charity, is through use of volunteers. So we have a wonderful group of volunteers that we really appreciate. And we have some new play groups pending from listening to the whānau who come along to our existing events. We have an afternoon play group that's going to be starting in just a couple of weeks. And also looking to the future, we're looking at having an Indian families play group. That's a big part of our community where there's a gap that we've noticed, and there's been a lot of interest in having an intergenerational play group where family who might not have grandparents locally can come along and interact with some elder members of our community. We also have We Play group, which is our Little Miracles Trust, premature and developmental delay, Pepe and Tamariki, come along to that one. A Tongan play group, Punania Mo Ui, were meeting at various locations, did not have a site of their own, so they approached us so that they could come and consistently run their play group from the one space. We have Counting Cubs as well, which is a numeracy play group, the only one we know of in the country in that one. And we had a wonderful member of our community who saw that gap and offered that to our community, and it's been a huge success. Health services use our space to do some various play groups, classes, training seminars, etc. as well. Sorry, Louise.
Kia ora. I was just going to comment that all of these aspects that have been pulled together, you sort of started with the blank canvas, and everything that you do now has come from hearing whānau voice, consulting with whānau, kind of also searching out those voices that are silent in your community that you don't hear from, and looking at how you engage with them and gather their voice and support them to show up and connect. And then all of these play groups and offerings that you have, they've all been hatched out of those connections with whānau in your community, eh?
That's right, and seeking feedback in a variety of ways from the groups that do come to use our services too, about how we can improve them, what their needs are. We invariably got a lot of positive feedback on that in written form, but also it's about talking to those groups and just asking whether there's little things that we can tweak to make our space more useful for them as well too, and meet their needs.
Kia ora. Thank you, Tina. So we'll hear more from Tina later after the breakout rooms. So now we'll move over to Pae Urungi. It's really difficult to fit all of these amazing stories in such a short period of time. So we just get a little snapshot, and then we'll have time to come back to these stories and our speakers later. So I'm going to hand over to Pae Urungi and Wesley Community Action to hear about their mahi and how it is that they are leading whānau-led change within their community. But first of all, I'll pass over to Kina.
Yeah, kia ora koutou. Thanks, Louise, and thanks, Tina, for that. That was awesome. So yeah, I'm lucky because I just get to introduce this awesome crew of people who do awesome mahi to share a few stories. We're all from Wesley Community Action, which is an organisation down in Punike, Wellington, and in the Hut and in Porirua. This team here, Te Pae Urungi, work mostly in the eastern suburbs of Wellington with a really awesome community, but stretch out across the city. You guys don't get stuck in the eastern suburbs. Our work at Wesley is really led by this idea that real change is only happens when it's led by the people who are seeking that change. And so part of the way that we do that is we're, always trying to learn about how we actually do that. And one of the ways that we've tried to pull that together is in our Te Ara Wetiri. Louise, can you put up that slide of Te Ara Wetiri, if you've got it there? Which is our practice framework that we use at Wesley. And when the four of us were having a kōrero about what we wanted to share today, or how to share, or how to condense things down to 5 minutes, we had a little look at our practice framework, Te Ara Wetiri, and we sort of thought, if people are interested in how we do this work, everybody does it in different ways, how we do it, this is kind of touchstones here. So the team is going to have they've had a little think about which of these touchstones they want to share a bit about, share some stories about how they bring this stuff to their work. And a big part of that is how we bring, that child and tamariki and rangatahi focus, bring those people into the centre of our mahi. So each of Tuali and Tiamo and Dean are going to share with you a story that kind of brings the how of this mahi to life through one of these touchstones. So I'm going to hand over to Tiamo to kick us off. Kia ora, Tiamo.
Tamari e koutou. Thank you for that, Kina. Ko maritiring te maunga, ko waiapu te awa, ko parota te waka, ko waiparapara te marae, ko wanu mata hau ki a whanganui atara, ko Ngāti Porou te iwi, ko te amo prata taku ingo. Kia ora koutou. So yes, just a little bit about myself. Identified community leader / community support advocate for Wesley Community Action Pae Urungi. I've been in this space now for about nearly 10 years, and I have a very unique job because I work alongside whānau who don't typically engage in services. I don't like the language hard to reach whānau because they're very easy to reach if you pick up the phone. They're what we call club whānau or gang whānau. And how I got into that role is because I am a community leader myself, and I live amongst these communities that I work alongside of. And when we're talking about vision, awesome mahi tina, ngā mihi. When we're talking about our vision is to help our whānau identify their goals and dreams and help navigate them and walk alongside them to achieve a more self-sustaining lifestyle. And the way we do that is by giving them their own rangatiratanga, by giving them their voice, making sure that their voice is the privilege and their voice is the ideas that we roll with. Using our touchstones that Kina was talking about, I was reminded of a story that I was grateful to be a part of, where we took a group of 10 kōrero away to Rotorua to a Etu Whānau Youth Symposium, which was very new for these rangatahi because they don't typically go outside of their neighbourhood. So what they see on a daily basis is what they live. And we took them outside of their comfort zone, and we took them to a youth symposium where there was over 200 to 300 other rangatahi there, and they were different ethnicities, they were from different areas, they had different religions, very different to what our rangatahi were used to. So obviously, and they became very apprehensive straight away because these rangatahi were used to just being in their own little group and the safety of their own little group. And shout outs to Etu Whānau. One of the first things they did straight away was they split these kids up straight away into groups, so automatically their shock set in straight away. And this one in particular, kōrero, she was very shy. She was very, very reluctant to engage in anything and be separated from the group to the point it was like anxiety. So myself and my other co-worker, we had to go and jump in alongside of this particular tauira and go and engage in the workshops beside her so that she'd feel comfortable. And one of the activities is there's some like silly ice-breaking activities. Get up and you dance and you have fun and you do all this movement stuff. And I was reminded by one of the mātuas at Etu Whānau that he kind of pulled me aside and he said to me, I love the way that you work with your rangatahi, bro. It's like in a room of 200 people, not a lot of these people realize what community you come from and the hardships that you fellas walk in and deal with every day, because you're so up here and you're so proactive and you're supporting your tauira in such a massive way. And it reminded me of being, one of our touchstones is about being as courageous as the whānau that we walk alongside of, which means if you have to get out there and be silly, to make them feel comfortable, then you'll get out and be silly and make them feel comfortable. If you have to be serious and advocate for them, then you'll be serious and you'll advocate for them. It's about making them, because everything we do is on relationships, it's about our integrity, it's about our honesty, and it's about our transparency and honoring their voices. So that's what I do to build our relationships, is I will be courageous enough to walk alongside our rangatahi in whatever walk they walk in. And I can see that is my 5 minutes up because I'm timing it. But I look forward to answering your fellas' questions. Kia ora koutou.
Kia ora. Yeah, so we've heard from Kotahitaka that they've got eyes on sort of under fives primarily, and for your work in Pae Urungi, your main focus is rangatahi and whānau, is that right? I mean, whānau,
Aye.
obviously the whole collection of mokopuna. Kia ora. Thanks, Te Amo. So Dean, you're next on the rākau.
Kia ora everyone, morena. Hope you're all feeling well on this beautiful Thursday. I don't usually do presentations like this online, so been a little bit nervous, but it's not really that hard to talk about our mahi. So kia ora, I'm Dean. I'm part of the Pae Urungi team based out here in Eastern Suburbs, Wellington. I've been a part of this beautiful whānau for 3.5 years. Originally, I started as peer support at DCM, working amongst mental health, addictions, homelessness, and then I ended up getting a role here at Wesley Community Action. When I first started, Te Amo, he runs a mana rangatahi program, and he reached out to me and asked if I wanted to just take some rangatahi for fitness grids at home. I've done kickboxing for about 15 years. When he'd reached out to me and asked if I wanted to train them, I was like, yeah, man, bring them over. So we started these classes just in the back of my garage. We did that for a few weeks, and then I ended up getting a role at Wesley Community Action. I continued on with these classes once a week down at a local Mirama Hall, and now that we've got the space, full-time space, we're down here every day. So I do youth classes, 10 up to 17 years of age. I really love working with our rangatahi. It's, I'm a survivor of state care, so, having this opportunity to walk alongside our rangatahi and to have an opportunity to give, just to train them around fitness, the basic fundamentals, and also it's an opportunity for me to encourage them, because not everyone wants to be a fighter, but at least they can come down here to a safe space, work on their fitness, have a little hit on the pads. It's a good outlet for these kids, it's good for their mental health, but it's a safe space where we can encourage them to keep learning, stay at school, keep trying different sports, this is something that I'm really passionate about. So I work alongside, right from kids right up to competition level, and also run wahine and kōrero classes too. So, and I love this. I love being here. Also helping out in the rugby league department as well with Hunters. So I've been there 3 years now, so under 13s, under 14s, and recently the under 16s, and navigating them right up to representative level as well. I think that having a space, a safe space, for these rangatahi, because there's a lot of established gyms around here in Wellington, and I do notice that there's a lot of kids out there that are a bit whakamā to join these gyms, and also money, So there's a lot of kids out there that can't afford to join these gyms. So having this gym here, a free community space where they can come down here, parents can go in the kitchen, have a cup of tea, while I've got their kids for an hour and just burn out the energy and also just utilising that time to just set some good values, hard work, effort, attitude, and implementing those kind of values, not just here in the gym, so they can take it back home and out there at school and in the community. So I'm grateful to be here. We've had this space for a couple of years now, and it's to be continued. It's only gonna get stronger and stronger, and there's some beautiful initiatives running through this space, and I look forward to talking about that and more about my journey, and look forward to catching up with everybody. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thanks, Dean. And yeah, again, what we're already starting to get a flavour of is how these two teams of amazing people respond to their communities for the benefit of Mokopuna. So kia ora, thanks, Dean. Tu Ali.
Kia ora anō koutou. Thank you, Tina, Te Amo, and Dean for acknowledging your mahi. I am the longest standing member of our team here at Te Pae Urungi, formerly known as Rangatahi Services. I personally love that name, Rangatahi Services, because my passion sits with our rangatahi. All I want to do is be the guy that my mum and my siblings didn't have when we were younger. So the term rangatahi services meant a lot to me. However, the mahi that we do in this space in our team is a holistic approach. So yes, rangatahi are our priority and they remain at the forefront, but we work alongside the whole whānau to ensure the betterment of our rangatahi. So the way that we do that is by providing opportunities for whānau to enhance their well-being, enhance their, their personal acknowledgements of their own capabilities and what they're able to provide to ensure a healthy and safe environment for their whānau. So my team have sat there and discussed things that they do individually, but we as a team, in our team, we work, we do a lot of program-driven stuff. We used to be very crisis management, so we were always focusing on crises, domestic violence, coming in when the police were coming around, supporting whānau in court. So there was a really big reach in that area, and we realised that we need to do more and stop being at the bottom of the cliff and start being at the top of the cliff. So we had a little bit of a rejig. We changed our name. Te Pae Urungi is in reference to being a navigator. So we sit at the back of the waka and we navigate and allow the whānau to do the mahi, allow the whānau to acknowledge what's needed in their lives, because we are firm believers that our whānau are the experts in their situations. There are times when, and I'm sure many of you on here will sit there and look and go, I know what this family needs. They need this, they need that. They need to be, doing this and that because I'm the expert. Well, actually, no, we're not the experts in other whānau's situations. We don't know what's going on in the back of their door and, what's happening. So what we try and do is we try and encourage our whānaus and we provide opportunities for our families to be able to step outside that door and start learning. So we have mana programs that we run weekly, and mana programs is mana tāne, mana wāhine, mana rangatahi, and mana whānau. In those spaces, we put a lot of emotional intelligence, learning our triggers, so we have another program called Bro Talk, which is highly focused on trauma and learning those triggers. And as Te Amo said, the whānaus that we work alongside are our marginalised communities, those disadvantaged communities. namely gang communities. But in saying that, it's not exclusive to gangs. We work alongside whānau. We have an open door policy. So if whānau come in and they feel the need that they need someone to walk alongside them with whatever it is, if we can't do it, we will refer on and make sure that somebody can. We have an amazing director, David Hanna, and a term that he uses that I love, which Wesley works alongside, is from womb to tomb. So within Wesley, we have services that work alongside families, wahine when they are pregnant, all the way to our services that work alongside whānau that are nearing the end of life. So when we sit there and focus on the mahi that we do, we want to provide opportunities for our whānau to be able to, enhance their own abilities, for them to acknowledge what they can provide for themselves and for their whānau, and their voices. Their voices are what's most important, because when you come from these communities, you don't feel like, if you've grown up in a space of you're to be seen and you're not to be heard, naturally, as you get older, you're going to stick with that, and it's going to stick with you. We try and smash that barrier. Like, we want you to be heard, we want you to be seen, and we want you to take the foot forward. And we do our best to work alongside you to make that happen. As Dean said, we have the gym space that came from his garage, that is now a beautiful, thriving gym that you see in his background, where we see a lot of our rangatahi come in there, smash the hell out of it, and then now they are working, working to fight professionally. Te Amo works alongside our whānau in regards to leadership. So enhancing that leadership, putting our whānau in a space where they feel like they are capable and confident enough to lead from the front. And as I said, we as a team, we support and lead from the back, but we always acknowledge the power and the ability of our families. So another thing that we do really, really well is we create positive relationships with the likes of government agencies, the police and OT and Wellington City Council and other local agencies around our communities, because when you come from a community like that, you only have one perspective, and that perspective is you're the bad guy, you come into my house, you rip my father out, and you take my family away and break my family down. Whereas we'd like to flip that on its head and then go, actually, these guys are here to help us. And if we create those positive relationships, then naturally the whānau will see the positiveness in those relationships, and again would remove that barrier. So I mentioned our mana programs. In those mana programs, we also have Real Talk, which is our parenting program, and that has that's a conscious parenting program. So that's not us telling parents what to do and how to parent. It's about providing a safe space for us to come together, have conversations around things that work, things that don't work. How can whānau work better together, or grab better resources to do your job better as a parent? And that's, as we know, when you're dictated to, you do this, you do that, you do this, I'm going to go the opposite way and I'm going to go and do it differently. So we have a parenting program, we have Good Sense, which is a financial well-being program, teaching whānau how to control their money. Let's not be controlled by our money, let's start controlling our money. And again, that's not a place where we go, how much money do you get, what do you do with your money, and you're doing wrong. It's about you getting tools to look at your own situation and go, God damn, I'm spending my money in the wrong places and I need to actually be doing this, and putting yourself in control of those finances. Our sports initiative is a big driver for our rangatahi and our whānau. We do support our tāne and wahine as well, but in the sports initiative, like Dean said, is we have the league, we have softball, we have netball, and the way that we support that initiative is by role modelling. So we will coach, we will manage, we will participate, we will do everything in that space to ensure that whānau feel comfortable to come in. We remove the barriers of, like Dean said, financial barriers for fees is expensive. So we as a team will fundraise to ensure that those funds can be covered. For equipment, equipment's expensive. To buy a glove is $120. To buy a bat can be up to $300. So we do our best to ensure that those things can be, those barriers can be eliminated and whānau don't have to worry about that. And the biggest thing for me around the sports initiative is when we first started the sports, we would be picking up the whānau, picking up the rangatahi, taking them to their trainings, taking them to their games, being the sideline encouragement, ensuring that, they feel powerful in that space. And then as time goes by, the mum will go, oh, I'm going to come and watch today. Oh, and next minute, before the half of the season is done, you've got the whole family on the sideline screaming and cheering and, just providing that encouragement for their babies. So I feel like I'm raving on, but there is so much that we do in our service, and I don't think our tāne have given enough. And to be honest, I don't think I have, but I just feel like I'm just raving on now. So on that, I'm going to hand it back over to Louise. I can't wait to go into the breakout rooms, whānau. I'm really excited to just kōrero, see what we can do. Hopefully I can learn from yous, and hopefully yous can take a little bit away from us as well. So, kia ora.
Yeah, kia ora. Oh, yeah. Hey, so it's a whānau. You can see from all of our speakers the passion that they have in the mahi, eh? And how it is that they're responding in different ways to the needs of their community, but all driven by the heart of mokopuna, eh? And, that aspect of you put our tamariki, our mokopuna in the center, and then everything starts to coalesce around that, eh? The whole of the whānau come, the community come, change starts to be made, which is the heart of how you build a child-rich community. Miharo. All right, so let's go into breakout rooms. Yeah, and this is the opportunity, whānau, for us to start having a bit of a deeper dive on some of these aspects. So yeah, you'll have your speakers in the rooms, however, they are not the facilitators. They're just part of the kōrero. So when you first get into your breakout room, please elect or volunteer someone in your room to be the person who, when you come back, will load the chat. We have a question already sitting in the chat, which we'll put to the speakers when you come back. So take a minute to introduce yourselves and elect one person who can come back and feed some of that summary of the chat summary of your kōrero back into the chat. So here's your pātai. What are the key elements of building child rangatahi whānau rich communities? What are the key elements? And if you've got a piece of paper, I know there are rare things these days, but if you've got a piece of paper close to you, then everybody just write one key message or one key word that that you take from that kōrero around the key elements. All right, we'll put this question into the chat as well, and you'll have about 15 minutes. All right, so Natalie will put you all into breakout rooms. You should get that invitation coming up now. Click onto that and we'll see you all again in about 15 minutes. Enjoy. So hopefully, whānau, you had some really good kōrero, and I managed to put in the chat just at the last minute, okay, where's your pieces of paper with the key message on around how you build child-rich community. So if you've got that written down already, if you could hold that up at the screen, and hopefully we'll have...
Oh, can you see it?
If you turn your viewing to gallery, and then we'll see all of these.
Sorry,
You'll have to put it right up. And some of them are a bit blurry. Yeah. Okay, what am I seeing there? I see amplifying voices of tamariki rangatahi. Meet people where they are. Connection, patience, growth, collaboration.
Yeah.
Inclusion, nice. And so you would have elected hopefully one person in each of your room to put in the chat some of these summaries of the kōrero. Oh, te amo, I can't see yours. What?
Says Haere mā te waha, engari mā te ringa. Don't
Nice.
tell me, show me.
Kia ora.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So start loading the chats, whānau, with some of the summaries from your kōrero, and then let's hear back from some of you too. So what were some of the main aspects? What's some of these key elements of building child-rich whānau, rich communities, moving the decision-making closer to whānau, empowering our tamariki? What are some of the key things? Does anybody want to share? Or you can just load the chat and I can read them out. Okay. Yeah,
So
kia
I
ora,
shared,
Tiamo.
so I shared with our group interesting aspect that Wesley Community Action roll by, which is they're really good at identifying community leadership. And what they do is like they might have, we've had tauira who have been young kids who have done mana rangatahi, you know, coming at 8 years old, go through those programs right up to being teenagers who now facilitate those programs, because they grow with the rangatahi that we work with. So we identify community leadership, and we work in with community leadership, and also consultation is a big one. So a lot of people tend to think that if you have a program, you set the program out and that's it, and you know, you've got to try and draw the people in. Whereas if you give the community a voice to help develop their program, then they're going to have more buy-in.
Kia ora. Some of the comments in the chats, whānau-led outcomes, what are the aspirations, hopes and dreams? Youth voice, listen and get the feedback and then act and accommodate. Community-led, identifying community relationships. Empower rangatahi to be a voice for other rangatahi, meeting people where they are at. Always ask questions about where the rangatahi tamariki voice is. Listen, connect, holistic wraparound. Growth, opportunity, patience, actively listening and inclusivity, recognizing that small steps bring sustainable change and giving space for people to work out where they want to go. Relationship. Yeah, kia ora. And so we've got 15 minutes left, but you know, I'm quite keen to go back to one of the questions that popped in the chat before we went into our breakout rooms. So the question's from Sarah from Birthright Hutt Valley. Can you just identify yourself? Thanks, Sarah. So for all of our speakers, did you just notice the need in your communities, or did you do some research? And if you did, how did you go about it? So Tina, do you want to go first? Any response? Putting you on the spot.
We didn't do research as such, not in a technical way. It was more about talking to various organisations in the community and inviting feedback from whānau that we work with, asking them more than research what it was they wanted to see. So that more those conversational styles than anything formal. And sorry, what was the other part of that question, Louise?
Did you just notice needs in your community? Did you do some research? And if you did, how did you go about it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, noticing those needs. Some of it was sort of noticing in terms of our Indian community, that there is a very large Indian community that is present in Ōtepoti Dunedin, and that they don't seem to be connecting a lot with each other. We did have a multi-ethnic council play group that used to run through our service, and it faltered, and they decided that it might have been easier in terms of numbers to focus on different ethnic groups. Even though we've got diversity in some of our general groups and that is available, just connecting with some of their peers when you're new to New Zealand especially is something that we identified as potentially valuable. So, yeah.
Kia ora, thanks. Te Pae Urungi, how did you manage to get whānau voice and understand what their needs were?
I guess we were the research. I guess we already lived in the struggle, the deficit cycle. So we kind of knew, we identified the gaps in our community and our lifestyle for ourselves. And basically, our community started off by grabbing any opportunity that we could grab, whether it was creative writing, whether it was diving, whether it was kapahaka, because we knew that we wanted to grow and we wanted to grow together as a community. So we did whatever we could, and basically we did that for long enough until we were able to get into, I suppose, a space of creating, like I said, creating these programs for ourselves and identifying what we wanted to learn, what was, so we went and we had a wānanga a while ago. We did a bit of research. Again, consultation is a big one with our whānau and privileging the voices. And we went around and we had a hui with them. We asked them what would they like to see them, what sort of things they'd like to work on in the next 5 years. And the common themes that came up was around health, mental health, housing, and employment. So that's what we worked on, according to their voice, and we privileged their voice, and that's what we worked on. And to this point today, as you've heard from most of the groups, is that we have a great number of whānau who participate in all these activities, whether it's sports or coaching or mentoring in these spaces, because that's the connection to them and their tamariki. So yeah.
And also, just to add to that, we hold regular community consultation processes. So we do invite the whānau in for a dinner, and we'll hold a process where we do get consultation from the communities. And a lot of our programs that we run, like our Mana Rangatahi program, that is formed by the rangatahi. So we have a process where we all come together, we discuss what the rangatahi deem important to them, and then we insert that into the program. So that's how we get our community voice, is by providing those consultation processes for whānau to be able to put in, and then we would grab that information that we're getting, and then we would feed it into, whether it's programs, whether it's our community initiatives, which community events like our Hauora events and stuff like that, where the community come together and then they participate or provide what it is that they think that is important in that space. So, kia ora.
Can I just add something else to that, which I think is another thing that I see you guys doing, is reaching out to get other perspectives on your mahi as well. Like, you're always reaching out to find what other groups or other things can bring, because it's really important to listen to what your community wants. But when it comes to research, it's also really important, and you guys do this, to check your thinking and check your assumptions with other people, and see what other opportunities are out there. So I think that's part of working as part of a big organization like Wesley, well, bigger, is that you're drawing on other perspectives and voices as well.
Yeah, connecting with other services is a big key part of our mahi too, because understanding that some of the activities and some of the initiatives that our whānau want to see, Wesley doesn't provide. So as support workers, it is our role to go out there and go and find these other agencies who do provide these opportunities for whānau, and see how we can connect our whānau into these kaupapa.
And ditto, that comes out of our conversations too. We have the kapa and a chat in that, in that welcoming environment. And if there is a topic sort of that comes up, we can say, well, did you know there's a service out there in the community that can do this? Budget advisory services coming in and having a chat. Our Kaya Whina service, our mental health workers, those sorts of things, whatever it is that interests or the families want and need. Yeah.
Yeah, that aspect of engaging and thinking and working holistically is something that's come up quite a bit in our learning cluster A. How to engage both with whānau but to engage with the community as a whole.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes it's the cool stuff that we're privileged to do. So, for an example, I've been a part of a ropu for the last couple of years that we go and do waka up in Waitangi, on Waitangi Day, and I had a tauira probably about 2 years ago who was really into waka, and he's like, "Wow, how did you get on that waka up in Waitangi?" And I said, "Oh, you got to do it." I took him through the process. I've got to do a series of wānanga and stuff. Well, he's 10 weeks into his wānanga 2 years later, and he's going to Waitangi. So sometimes it's the stuff that we're privileged to do. So that is the cool stuff. Working in a leadership space, I get to see what's going on around the motu, and I get to, like I said, I get to connect our communities into opportunities that they might not find here in Wellington. They might be in Whakatane, or they might be in Taranaki or Hawke's Bay, but that's my role, is to help connect our whānau into the things that they want to do.
And can I say too, you're great role models in that, and that can be really empowering too. When rangatahi see you doing these great things, they can emulate that. They know it's possible and can do it themselves. So it's all about that wonderful empowerment, you know. Yeah.
I've got a question for Wesley to Pae Urungi. Did you develop your own programs, or did you source existing programs? Would you be able to talk about how you duplicate some of your programs in Tauranga? Sounds like we work with similar cohorts, and the need and the demand are very much aligned, but we're only a small team. So perhaps you could answer, how did you develop your own programs or source existing programs, and then we can connect you all with Jennifer to have more kōrero later.
Yeah, so I will answer to that. Previously, we used to source external programs. So I'm not sure if many of you have heard of Incredible Years. Incredible Years is an American-formed parenting program. 18 weeks long. The booklet is this big. We found that whānau were getting lost in the context, so they were getting lost in translation, and then you're getting provided so much information, it's like, so what we actually did in Wesley, our beautiful team out in Waitangi, Lizzie Makaleo, she's amazing in this space, but she's managed to go into that program. She's grabbed out all the gold points, and then consultated with the rest of our whānau, came into Te Pae Urungi, gone over to our Purirua site, and had conversations around what works, what doesn't work, and she formed this beautiful program that we now run, which is called Real Talk. And like I said, it's conscious parenting. It's not anybody telling you how to parent or what you need to do. It's about providing tools, resources, understanding of what it is to provide a safe and healthy environment for your babies and for your children. So yes, we have looked at external programs, but we have realised that some of those programs just don't work for our communities, and whānau will just get lost, and then they won't end up participating for the rest of the program because it takes too long or there's too much information. So we, not dumb it down, but simplify it and make it a lot more easier for whānau to understand. So our Bro Talk program, it's an emotional wellbeing program, which is, again, providing a safe space for whānau to come together, have open conversation. In those open conversations is where you get your light bulb moment. So those programs are formed within Wesley. So when you hear Real Talk, Bro Talk, Good Sense, our financial wellbeing program, that's formed in Wesley. We have the likes of MSD that are going into our Cannons Creek site, who formed Good Sense, and are asking them to come in and provide that program to a lot of people that are on the benefit. And again, it's not anybody telling you how much money do you get, what do you do with that money, and you shouldn't be spending it here. It's about providing the tools and resources for you to look into your own situation and go, this is how much money I get, this is what I'm spending it on weekly. Oh my gosh, I'm spending too much on alcohol. Oh my gosh, I'm spending way too much on food, so, and then being able to go through that and go, I actually do have an extra $5 in a week that I can put away. And then by putting that $5 a week away, at the end of the month, you've got $20. Or, if you can reduce that, then you've got $50. And whānau don't really realise it, but that cup of coffee, that can wait. You don't have to have 5 cups of coffee in a day. Go and buy a nice cheap coffee, make you a coffee. There, you've instantly saved $25 in a week, So yeah, it's just providing the tools and understanding of finances. Those are all formed in Wesley by our amazing colleagues that are in the ground, noticing what's needed and then forming it to make it work. So
Yeah.
hope
Kia
that
ora.
helps.
Yeah,
Kia
and can I
ora.
just add a little something onto that too? Is that you know, we work alongside a lot of whānau that aren't school savvy, that didn't really stick at school or didn't really do education. So I think there's a big difference between a program and a course, because if you turn up to a course, that's a facilitator talking to you and you're learning and you're asking some questions, and then that's it. You get the right answer or the wrong answer in a nutshell. But the programs that we provide are in-depth conversations where you'll actually get your answers from yourself and the people around you when you start to realize that, oh, shivers, I'm not the only one that goes through this, or I'm not the only one that doesn't understand that. So they end up having conversations within themselves as a group, and then they get to understand it. So there's no right or wrong answer for them. There's only their truths and their answers and what they understand.
Kia ora. Oh, I could just talk and listen for all morning, but we've come to 11 o'clock, unfortunately. But hopefully you've been able to see, you know, some of the aspects of just the importance of building relationship, of engaging, of listening to tamariki and whānau, being responsive, and, you know, just so much passion in all of these people, hey, with how they do the mahi. And we're all connected in that way, aren't we? I see Natalie's just launched a poll. If you could just complete that before we go, and then we'll hand over to Tiamo shortly to close us off. So this learning cluster continues until June of next year, and you can hop on the Inspiring Communities website under Child Rich Communities and track how we're going. We put some of the gold that comes out of there out of our kōrero and our gatherings. You can imagine what our gatherings are like every Monday. They're awesome. So we put some of the gold onto the website there so you can see what we're talking about. And as we charge through to the end of the learning cluster next year, there'll be more stories and videos and just more information about how these communities do the amazing mahi that they do, and the change that they're making for our mokopuna and our whānau, which is the key reason we're all in it, right? So kia ora, thank you for your time today and your presence. Really appreciate all of your mahi and your willingness to just get up every day for the benefit of our mokopuna. Kia ora, and thank you for sharing your stories to Pae Urungi and Kotahitaka. It's through our stories that we're inspired to continue our mahi, eh? So kia ora. Tiamo, I'll hand over to you to close us off. Ngā mihi.
E tō mātou i te rangi, kia tapu tau ingoa, kia tai mai tau rangatiratanga, kia metia tau e pā ai ki runga ki te whenua, kia riti anō ki tō te rangi, ho mai kia mātou e ai nei, kia taro mō mātou mō tēnei rā. Muru o mātou hara, me mātou hoki e muri nei i o te hunga e harana ki a mātou. Awa hoki mātou e kawea kia whakawaia, engari whakarongi a mātou i te kino, nau hoki te rangatiratanga, te kaha me te gloria, ake, ameni.
Kia ora. Kia paitura e te whānau. Have a wonderful day. Really nice to catch up with you. Ka kite.
Thanks, everyone.
Mā te wā.
Mā te wā.
Mā te wā.